At the edge of a mountaintop, he spotted a strange arrangement of giant rocks. Upon his return and closer inspection, this stone calendar site has turned out to be the oldest known man-made site on Earth. For 4 years, Johann had been pondering, plotting and photographing his historic discovery. After many attempts to attract the interest of historians and archaeologists had failed, he never gave up on his quest to measure the site and establish the ancient and original geographical alignments. His persistence has resulted in discovering the oldest man-made structure on Earth and bringing real significance to the earliest humans that emerged in southern Africa. Under the introduction page, page 7, there is a little credit to some of the archaeoastronomers that have helped us date this. So, the Johann Heine stone calendar, affectionately called Adam's calendar, has been dated by astronomer Bill Hollenbach to be between 25,000 and 150,000 years old. We would place the actual date closer to around 75,000 years based on the movement of the people of southern Africa and the emergence of rock art during that period. But it could in fact be much older, dating back to the dawn of Homo sapiens some 250,000 years ago. So we already knew at that stage that the site was probably much older, but we didn't have as much knowledge and information and many arguments to argue that it was closer to 300,000 years than we have today. So on page 8, you can see a wonderful photograph of the moon in the sky above Adam's calendar. The caption says, "The moon rises as the sun sets over the calendar." Could the ancient people and architects of the site have used the movement of the moon as well as the sun to measure time and other events? The site seems to hold many more secrets that will be examined and hopefully answered in the years to come. Wonderful photographs on page 9. The caption says, "Afternoon shadows from other strategically placed rocks fall on the monoliths. Notice how the rocks lean over towards the cliff edge as a result of the top layer of the soil slowly sliding towards the cliff edge over many millennia. That kind of movement of the soil is known as soil shift. The top part of the soil slowly moves towards the edge of a cliff in the soil shift over many years, and that's what caused the stones to lean over towards the edge of the cliff." And the next caption goes, "The setting sun between the two main monolith rocks, just one of the many magical moments for any visitor to behold. The notion that humans were observing the movement of the sun in this spot for over 75,000 years leaves one somewhat dumbfounded. Who were these people, and where did they suddenly get the knowledge to build a stone calendar and stone calendar structures such as this? But more importantly, why did these early humans suddenly have the need to build a calendar?" And that still remains a very important question that we have sort of answered and sort of not answered as you go through the work and the research that's been done on this site. We're now on page 11, and we're going to talk about African myths and legends. There is an overwhelming consensus by scholars, academics, and even mystics that southern Africa is the cradle of humankind, and this is where the first humans walked on Earth, and walked the Earth before migrating to distant corners of our planet. Through the study of mitochondrial DNA in females, geneticist Wesley Brown of the Howard Goodman Laboratory found a staggering bit of evidence that points to a time when the first humans suddenly appeared on Earth, reigniting the ongoing debate about the missing link. His calculation shows that the common ancestor to all humans appeared somewhere between 180,000 and 360,000 years ago. She was affectionately called Mitochondrial Eve. The amazing coincidence is that genetic studies on the Y chromosome in males have shown very similar results. This has a twofold effect. Those anthropologists that support evolution now had a real challenge to find the so-called missing link, while others who support the concept of a creation had a strong argument that there was an actual point in time where humankind was first created. Needless to say, the argument still continues today. While new discoveries are being made by scientists to support the scale of the evolution, religious philosophers are decoding some of the mysterious stories from the many religions on earth. The fact remains that Southern Africa holds some of the deepest mysteries in all of human history, because while much has been written about the first humans who appeared in this part of the world, we have found very little evidence of their activity on what they did and what kind of lives they led. Who were these first humans? What did they do? How did they live? Where did they disappear to? The first signs of human intelligence and consciousness only appears around 75,000 years ago, when the Khoisan people of Southern Africa, sometimes also referred to as Bushmen, started leaving behind an array of spectacular cave paintings all over this part of the continent. Finely crafted beads and bracelet fragments found in a cave at Blombos in the Western Cape, South Africa, shows that these early humans had already developed a feel for the arts and crafts. The legends become even more vivid when we learn about the great empire of Monomotapa, whose kings were powerful and wealthy in gold. When we move around to about 1000 BC, we encounter the mysterious Queen Sheba, who ruled the kingdom in the land of Ophir, teeming with endless supplies of gold, and the wise, wealthy King Solomon, who seduced Queen Sheba and obtained all his gold from her. Adventurers and historians have been searching for the evidence of the lost lands and the civilizations for centuries, in the hope of discovering some of these riches themselves, with no luck. While these characters and stories are mostly biblical, we need to examine their historical relevance. Is it possible that there really was such a place? Was it really filled with limitless wealth in gold? And was it here where the wealthiest kings on earth got their gold? We'll find out. So I'm now on page 12 and 13 that shows a beautiful photograph of the piece of the mountain that leads up to Adam's Calendar on the left, and that area is completely scattered with huge stones, dolerite rocks with all kinds of grooves and carvings on them, and it is very confusing because this is really one of the areas that you find this very high concentration of these dolerite stones. Big boulders from probably like 10 tons to smaller ones. Many of them look crafted and carved and so forth. And it is truly a mystery why that certain stretch, just before you get to Adam's Calendar, as you're driving towards the calendar site, about a sort of 700 meters before it, you start seeing this deposit of these dolerite stones on your left-hand side, just before the mountain drops off into the Barberton Valley. And this photograph is truly spectacular. It brings back very, very quite emotional memories, because when you first discover it, it leaves a million questions in your mind as to why that area is so scattered in these dolerite rocks. And that's what the geological report from the geologist that I read out earlier, the geologist from Dion Brandt, that is exactly what he was referring to when he was talking about the rocks and the scattered dolerite stones in the area that don't seem to belong there, that they must have been brought from somewhere else. Even he suggested that because they have no geological place to be in that area. So the caption says, deep grooves carved by early humans into dolerite monoliths. These are some of the hardest rocks on earth. The strategically placed monoliths lie scattered along the entire mountain ridge, like a stone graveyard trapped in time, hiding many ancient secrets from the most distant times in human history. And that definitely is what's going on there. The mystery of these stones, the dolerite rocks scattered along there, were only really resolved after 2018. And I will go into more detail why and how it allowed us to resolve the mystery of these dolerite stones, these dolerite rocks that have no place being on that part of the mountain.